Hi everybody, welcome to the Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today I am delighted to be joined by Elizabeth Harris, who's Senior Program Director, CAR-TCR and Cell Therapy Portfolios at Hanson Wade, because we are going to be previewing the upcoming CAR-TCR Summit Europe, which is running on February the 21st to 23rd in London. And I think it's at the XL, if I'm correct. Is that correct,
That is
Elizabeth?
correct.
Good, I
Yes,
did
thank
remember
you.
correctly because I knew it was there last year and I was hoping it'd be there this year as well, so I got it right. All right. So, and as CAR-TCR therapies are in the news so much at the moment, that I thought it was a great time to preview the event and find out a bit more about CAR-TCR therapies and the program that people can expect to see at the upcoming event. So, Elizabeth, first of all, it's lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Obviously busy in the lead up to it, but really excited. And thank you so much for having me.
It's lovely to meet you. Look, well, the first question I'm going to ask you is for people not familiar with CAR-TCR Europe and the brand that Hanson Wade have got in terms of, because I know it's not the only event you do on the CAR-TCR.
Mhm.
Can you give me a quick overview of the event itself and the different iterations that you have of it?
Mhm. Yeah, of course. So I guess for those who don't know, Hanson Wade's flagship cell therapy event is the CAR-TCR Summit, which takes place in Boston. And that will be taking place for its 8th year later at the end of August in the Heinz Convention Center. And this one is a bit more about, it has something for everyone. It covers the whole cell therapy space across end-to-end development. So it's got a lot of early work like discovery, but goes through all the clinical stuff, manufacturing, logistics, and ends with commercialization and market access. So, that's one of the biggest summits where, everyone from the cell therapy space can come and join once a year to see the progression. But the European one is a little bit different. So the 6th annual CAR-TCR Summit, so it's been running for a couple of years less, but that one's taking place, like you said, at London, the XL later this month, and has a slightly different aim to the Boston meeting.
So
So
what is the aim then?
yeah, so this meeting is really focusing on driving the wave of next generation cell therapy products. So it's just focusing on the new innovations that are happening in the space. So slightly earlier on in development, looking at the novel cell therapy platforms, the advances in clinical development, which are in those first stages, and how to streamline those early stage manufacturing processes. Of course, this is hugely important as all of the cell therapy products in early phase development, of course, are going to be the future of the space. So yeah, this one's got a slightly earlier look than the Boston Summit, but has a lot more in those later stages of development too.
Right, okay. And maybe sound a bit of a stupid question, but why are CAR-TCR therapies so important and such vogue at the moment?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, CAR and TCR therapies and just cell therapies in general really have the opportunity to revolutionize oncology and cancer treatment, but also, even looking out into autoimmune diseases and things like that, which, a lot more have been popping up in the news about that recently. So I guess while the decision about an individual's treatment should always remain with the patient and the healthcare provider, these types of therapies do really offer certain advantages that, could make them a very, very appealing choices over some therapies which are, I guess more common out there, which more people know. They often require shorter treatment times, generally with, maybe just a single infusion and less time in inpatient care. Whereas, of course, commonly known treatments like chemotherapy require months and months to complete with multiple treatment cycles and obviously have really bad side effects and things like that. And of course, while CAR-T therapies and other cell therapies do have some challenges and some side effects, I think, how it's looking at the moment really has the opportunity to provide patients with better quality of life, like during these treatment stages too.
Right, fantastic. So one question I'm going to ask you is that obviously cell and therapy, as I said, is now the buzzword, cell and gene therapy, and particularly across the pharma life science space. And there are so many events that, and I know out there now, which are incorporating cell and gene therapy as part of their tracks. Now, as you said, that you've had the main event in Boston running for 8 years, or will be 8 years, and this is the 6th year of that. So what's unique about CAR-TCR and CAR-TCR Europe compared to some of the other events then out there, which are covering similar topics?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I've already mentioned the difference between our own two events, but there, like you mentioned, there are a wide range of events produced by other companies. I sort of find that these other events tend to have much broader scopes, either covering the whole of the cell and gene therapy space, like you mentioned, or even immuno-oncology as a whole, which of course includes lots of other different approaches like bispecifics and things like that. And equally, some events seem to be a little bit less focused on some of the scientific challenges and more focused on business development. Whereas we at Hanson Wade are known for our very niche events that tackle the main challenges hindering clinical development and the route towards commercialization. As such, we structure these events to focus on very specific challenges. Within the translation track, for example, at the Boston event, we've got things like trafficking to the solid tumors. In the European event, we've got the novel platforms track where we specifically are talking about things like CAR-T armoring. We've also got things like multiplex engineering, things like that. So we split it up into those very, very specific sections, of which have been mentioned to me as challenges throughout the space. And I guess the benefit of having these more niche events is that everyone in the room is like working together to overcome the exact same issues, which creates, better networking and a more collaborative environment at the meeting where everyone can go home with very clear takeaways as to how they can improve their cell therapy product, process, and overall strategy as well.
Brilliant. Well, look, you've mentioned a couple of tracks. So what new tracks, topics are being covered this year and why?
Yeah, so track-wise, at the European Summit, we've got the 3 different tracks. So the novel platforms, and then we've got advanced clinical development, and then streamlined manufacturing processes. So we always, like you say, the cell therapy space is always continuously evolving. So we always try to mirror this with changes to the content and structure of our event year on year. One change that we have made this year is changing the scope of that last track from manufacturing innovations to overall streamlined manufacturing processes. I sort of believe this allows people to still discuss the new innovations and equipment they've implemented, but also allows for process development and quality to be discussed in more depth, which has been mentioned to me as a huge focus for everyone. Additionally, I guess our plenary in the afternoon of February 23rd is highlighting a couple of regulatory presentations, both from the FDA and Novartis, which that regulatory session hasn't been done before. Of course, the cell therapy field is still really new and even newer regarding products with multiple gene edits and things like that. So therefore, we're covering some of these unknown regulatory considerations for these next-gen products in this section of the agenda. And then one final difference from last year is that we're bringing back the pre-conference workshops. These are 3-hour sessions They include sort of presentations, but also followed by a discussion session with all of the attendees who are present. And we really just think that this is, I feel like in the main agenda, you very quickly move from presentation to presentation, only having a couple of minutes for Q&A, whereas this really allows people to, have some key takeaways to bring back to their colleagues. And some of the topics we've included in these sessions include CAR-T cells to bypass the immunosuppressive tumor microenvironment with armoring technologies, improving clinical trial design, and things like that.
Right, fantastic. Now, you mentioned plenary session. So who are some of the keynote speakers this year? Yeah,
so we have quite a few plenary speakers. So we've got the ones at the beginning of day 1 and day 2, and also the end of day 2. A few too many to mention all of them, but I'll pick out a couple of different ones. So Amir from Novartis, he's the global head of cell and gene. He's speaking a little bit more about the cell and gene therapy journey at Novartis. Of course, having an approved cell therapy, they have huge expertise and experience. He's talking a little bit about that, and also a little bit about, the early stage products that they're doing, what advances people are seeing in the field. We've also got Nick Koenig he's the CSO of Arsenal Bio. He's discussing their autologous T-cell product, where they design combinatorial synthetic biology to engineer the fate and function of their therapeutic T cells. Of course, Arsenal also had some exciting news at the beginning of the month where they announced that they had dosed their first patient in their phase 1 clinical trial. So that's also really exciting. And then finally, I mentioned before, the FDA, we've got Alan, who's a staff fellow there, and he's reviewing some of the CMC considerations for manufacturing gene-modified T-cell products, which I think will be a really interesting talk.
Great, thank you for that. And now, apart from the sessions themselves, though, and the exhibition floor, what can attendees expect from this year's CAR-TCR Summit?
Yeah, so I guess apart from, like you say, the exhibition floor where all of our partners will be and the scientific content, whether that's presentations, workshops, panels, and roundtable discussions, we of course, I think the dedicated networking time is really, really important. Of course, all the breaks act as more casual networking, but in the morning of February 22nd, we're running an organized speed networking session, which we often do, which works a little like speed dating, giving all the attendees to meet and swap business cards with as many people as possible. Obviously, we also have it in the evening of the same day. We have our drinks reception, which we are calling CAR-TCR Europe Celebrations, which is kindly sponsored by Scale Ready. So everyone make sure that you're sticking around for that with some drinks on us.
Fantastic. And obviously all events become live now, having had a couple of years being virtual. So how much of the event is available virtually, and is it available on demand as well?
Yeah, so I think one thing that we've sort of done a lot at Hanson Wade is with, the conferences, we're finding that in the post-COVID world, everyone is eager to get back to the in-person conferences. So we're not actually sort of streaming them live or anything like that, because we really think, having that benefit of the in-person networking is super, super important, and almost, just as important as some of the actual presentations and things like that. However, if you are attending the conference, you of course do have access to all of the post-event material, which includes all the presentation sort of slides and things like that, subject to speaker availability. So if you did miss out on any presentations while you were there, or there was 2 presentations going on at the same time and you wanted to attend both, but obviously you couldn't, you of course can always go back and look at them later on.
Right, okay. And finally, here's your sales pitch bit. Why should people attend CAR-TCR Europe in a couple of weeks' time?
Yeah, why should people attend? So I guess everyone in the field knows that the cell therapy space is evolving very, very fast. We're seeing new companies pop up, new innovative products moving into the clinic, and promising data being generated at a very rapid pace. I think as we see this evolution occur, it's just really important to capture this in meetings like the CAR-TCR Summit, exploring the shared challenges in the field, discussing strategies to overcome these, but also sort of coming together and actually celebrating the success that people have had in the past year as well. So overall, I really think it is essential to come to this meeting just to sort of be part of the shared mission to drive next generation CAR and TCR based approaches towards the clinic, and of course eventually to commercial success, with the aim of helping out patients globally.
Brilliant. And actually, I said that was the last question, but I lied because I just got something else come into my head, which was, I can't miss this opportunity, given that you are the Senior Program Director for not just CAR-TCR, but the whole cell therapy portfolio, to say just what, without going through the whole portfolio, because you've got lots of events, I know, but what other events have you got as part of the portfolio coming up which are related to cell therapy, which people should look out for?
Yeah, so there's a lot of us who are actually working in the cell therapy portfolio. Rochelle, who was producing these last year, Ella, Jade, Maxie, Tom. So there's quite a big team of us who are all working on those cell therapy events now. One which is super exciting, which Rochelle is doing, is the Allogeneic Cell Therapy Summit, which is taking place. I'm trying to think, maybe May, but we'll have to double check on that. I'm not 100% sure. Of course, autologous and allogeneic therapies are both really, really exciting, but we wanted to give that a little bit more of a space of its own. So that's exciting. We've also got one Obviously, in vivo CAR-T is becoming much more of an exciting thing with some people coming into the space. So that one will be later this year. And that will be its second year running. So I'm really excited for that one. And then, of course, we have some more of our ones dedicated to, I guess, manufacturing and analytics. So we've got iPSC manufacturing, we've got cell therapy potency assay summit, cell therapy analytical development. We've got lots there. So, but check out our website. We've just got a brand new website redone, and you can see the whole cell therapy offering there.
Right. Well, the link will go above the video viewer so you can see it there. All right. Well, look, thank you, Elizabeth, for taking the time to talk to me. That was really interesting. Give me such a good overview of the whole event. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in person during the event as well. But happy build up. I know it's always the most stressful time making sure everybody's got their presentations in and you've got everything done. So good luck with all of that. And I look forward to catching up with you then. Viewers, there you go. If you would like to know more about CAR-TCR Summit Europe and also the other events that Elizabeth mentioned, then click on the link above the video. You can go straight to the registration page, find out about the agenda, and also register, of course. And if you've got any questions for Elizabeth, put them in the comments below. But all this ever says, Elizabeth, good luck with the build up. I hope it all goes well. And viewers, thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.